Hey then, welcome on back. As always, I'm Carl with Target's Attitude, absent-minded professor of knives and all things sharp. It's Monday, so we're going to be talking about knife basics, which your daddy forgot to teach you. Going to do something a little different than what I had planned, though, based on something that just recently happened to me. Got notified from eBay today. Apparently, someone hacked my account and was trying to sell things as claiming to be me. Big problem. Yes, someone was pretending to be me and selling what were probably cheap knockoff knives. Lots of different terms for them, and we'll get to that in a minute. And definitely a big hassle, and possibly kind of bad for me because, let's be honest, the only thing I have going for me to keep people coming to me at knife shows and going to my website to buy knives is my reputation. This could have really destroyed it. But first, before we get into why and how and all that, let's get the syllabus work out of the way, shall we? If you're new to knife collecting and all the wonderful things that go with it, welcome. We do mainly knife reviews. We do occasionally reviews of camping and survival gear. And we do this series, Knife Basics, which Daddy forgot to teach you. Basically, we're trying to help you learn all about this wonderful hobby. Get to the point where when someone starts talking to you about a new knife that you're interested in, you're not going, yeah, right, exactly. No, you'll be able to know exactly what we're talking about and be able to follow along and converse quite intelligently with us. For those of you who've been around for a while, welcome back. I'm glad you made it. Just got one question for y'all. Have you subscribed yet? Yeah, I know. I've asked it before. I'm going to ask it again. I mean, it's such a simple thing. Just hit that button right down there. Says subscribe. Then you hit the bell right next to it. That way you get notified every time I do a neat new video. It's a win-win situation. Win for you because you don't miss any of the neat new things I do. Win for me because, let's be honest, the more subscribers I have, the easier it is to get all these neat new things. Plus, lots of other benefits to having at least 1,000 subscribers if I can get there. For one thing, Blade Show, if you've got at least 1,000 subscribers, you actually have a chance to interview some of the people on the floor. Since I don't have 1,000 subscribers yet, I can't do that. And there are so many fascinating people at Blade Show. But we'll go on to that in a different video. So yeah, let's help each other out, shall we? In the meantime, on with today's lesson. So yeah, as I said, someone was pretending to be me and selling, well, there's lots of terms for it. Fakes, counterfeits, clones, all sorts of terms. But in any case, they all refer to something that looks like or even pretends to be something it's not. And there can be a problem with this. There can be advantages to it. I mean, I'm not going to lie, some of these clones are getting to be really, really good knives. As the people who are making the knockoffs get better at understanding what causes their knives to stand out from the real thing, they're fixing those things. And in some cases, you're getting a knife almost as good as the real thing. In one or two cases, maybe, I doubt it, but maybe even better. But there is a potential problem with this. From what I understand, knife makers and knife designers have sort of the same relationship that you see in a lot of other industries, including publishing, music, software development, a lot of these things. Someone comes up with a certain product or an idea for a certain product and all the specifications, and Well, here, let me give you an example from real life. My fraternity brother Tony, musician, brilliant man. He wrote the music to a rather popular video game back in the late 90s, or excuse me, early 90s, late 80s, somewhere in there. But the way the deal went, since Tony wasn't very well known at the time, is he got a small amount up front. Okay, maybe not so small for the time. It was about $1,000. But he got $1,000 for writing the song, and then 1 penny for every copy of the game that was sold. Not a lot of money, but it adds up quickly. Because, and this is where it hit home for me. About 6 months after the game was released, when it had hit its stride and was really selling, they pulled a raid on a warehouse out in California. Can't remember whether it was LA or San Francisco, but it was somewhere in there. And they found 250,000 copies of the game Tony had written the music for in that warehouse. They were all pirated copies, which meant that if they had sold all 250,000 of them, Tony wouldn't have gotten a cent for any of those. And as I said, he got 2 cents per copy. So 250,000 times 2 cents a copy comes out to $5,000. Keep in mind, this is the late 80s, early 90s. $5,000 back then, Tony could have replaced his car. He could have paid his rent for half a year. He could have done a lot of things. Hell, even today, 30 years later, with $5,000, I can do a lot of things. But because they were pirated copies, he would never have seen 1 penny from any of the sales. That's $5,000 that would not have been in his pocket. That's a hell of a financial hit. And knife designers do things the same way. Yeah, some of the big ones like, say, Ken Onion, Jesse Jaros, some of the others, their names are so big that they get more money up front, but most of their money is still coming on a percentage of sales. And that percentage adds up quickly. So, yeah, if you buy a real Kershaw leak from someone who's an authorized Kershaw dealer, such as myself, Ken Onion gets a cut of that. A very tiny cut, but he gets a cut of it. If you buy a clone of a Kershaw leak, Ken Onion doesn't see a penny. The guy who made the clone gets all your money. Ken Onion, who actually designed the knife, never sees a penny of that. That just... I'm sorry, after what happened to Tony, it hits hard to me. I can't tell you not to, because if I'm going to be honest, before I saw what happened to my fraternity brother, I'd have bought pirated software without even thinking about it. Wouldn't have hurt me or bothered me in the least. But now, however, it does. So, I can't dictate to your conscience. I can't tell you what's morally right and what's morally wrong. That's for you to decide on your own. I can't fault you either way. And as I said, some of these clones are getting really good nowadays. So I've heard some people argue that this is a great way to find out if you like a design. Because let's be honest, some of these brands are kind of expensive. Spyderco, yeah, you can find some relatively cheap, but some of them are going for $200, $300, even $400. We knives started around 115, go all the way up to 600. Essie and Tops are all well over $100. So yeah, buying a clone gets you a chance to at least try that design out and see if you like it. And okay, if that's why you're doing it, I guess I can understand that. I can't fault you for that idea. Just keep in mind that some of them, well, let's take MTech for example. MTech makes a fighting knife that is almost identical to the K-Bar USMC fighting knife. The classic knife that's been used by our military since just after World War I. It's, if you look at the K-Bar and the MTech side by side on the table, you're going to be very hard pressed to tell which is which. You pick them both up, you're going to know immediately which one is K-Bar just by feel. There is that big a difference. But by looks, you're going to be hard pressed. Yet there are people out there who are going to tell you that the MTech is a K-Bar. It's not. It's an MTech. K-Bar is a brand. And they make more than just the fighting knife. They make everything from Mark 98 flippers to Dros Hunters to Dros Thorax to the K-Bar Kukri, several different types of fighting knives, the dozers. They make a lot. That is an MTech. You can buy an MTech for $20 or less. But it's not a K-Bar. And as I say, the minute you pick it up, you'll know the difference. But that doesn't change the fact that people will tell you it's a K-Bar. And that brings us to why this guy pretending to be me on eBay could have hurt me so badly. As I say, all I've got is my reputation. That's all that's going to keep you coming back to me at gun shows and to my website to buy knives from me. If you buy a knife off eBay from someone who's claiming to be me, that you honestly think is me, and it's a cheap knockoff that's poorly centered, one or two of the screws might be stripped, the blade is of cheap steel and won't hold an edge, so on and so forth on down the line. Let's be honest. Are you going to come back to me to buy, or are you going to come to me the first time thinking you're coming back to me to buy another knife? No, I've lost you as a customer forever. So I can't let that sort of thing slide. But that sort of thing does happen. So how do you protect yourself as a knife collector? How do you know whether you're getting the real thing or not? The easiest answer is to go to a reputable dealer. Your local knife shop, or possibly even a gun store. Definitely Cabela's or Bass Pro if you've got one in your community. They're buying directly from the manufacturer or possibly through a distributor. they're going to protect their reputation. They want you to come back and buy more knives for them. So they're going to make sure you're getting the real thing. There's a term I've heard used for the watch industry. Matter of fact, Nick Shabazz is actually the man I heard it from. Buy the dealer, not the product. That's good advice. A reputable dealer is probably going to charge you a little bit more. In my case, maybe even $10 to $20 more on some knives than what you can get other places. But we have sales. And if you buy from us, with me, Blade HQ, DL Trading Company, you know that we're going to treat you right, and you know you're going to get the real thing. You know that your local knife store, if he wants to be in business tomorrow, is going to treat you right and make sure you've got the real thing. The guy running the booth down at the flea market, probably not very likely. I mean, he might have some real knives. He might have some clones mixed in. He's going to tell you an M-Tech is just as good as a K-Bar because he wants to sell you a knife, and he doesn't really care if you come back. He's concentrated on the here and now. Some other online options. eBay, as you just found out. Let's be honest. eBay is so huge, they can't police all the people putting items up for bid. And they've been accused of not really caring. I don't quite believe that, but they've been accused of it, and it's definitely a possibility. I mean, what are they going to do? Are they going to check out every item sold on their website an auction? They'd have to increase their staff tenfold to do that. It isn't going to happen. And anyone can get a stock picture of, say, a Spyderco Paramilitary 2 and put it up on eBay and claim to be selling you one. And what you're getting is not. Some of them are so good, they'll fool even the experts at first. I mean, back when I still occasionally allowed trade-ins, a guy traded what I thought was a Spyderco Paramilitary 2. But when I got it home and took a closer look at it, started to oil it up, assemble it to clean it and make sure it was ready to sell, I found out it wasn't. I can't sell it. So it's sitting up in my dresser drawer, just sitting there. It was actually a decent knife. Very sharp blade, holds an edge decently. It's just not a Spyderco Paramilitary 2. It happens. Amazon. They've gotten sort of a bad rep lately too. And it's not completely deserved. But here's what happens with Amazon. They have what's called Fulfilled by Amazon, where they will bring in independent dealers, and the dealers will send their stock to Amazon, and Amazon will put it on the shelf in the warehouse, but they'll put all the Spyderco Paramilitary 2s that they receive from all of their dealers on the same shelf. So you've got Amazon buying a ton straight from Spyderco by the truckload. You've got people like me, well, not me, but people like me, sending in stuff for Amazon to sell through the Fulfilled by Amazon, because it's a great deal, really. I mean, Amazon takes care of running the website, they take care of the listing, they take care of collecting the money, they take care of shipping the product out. All you have to do is make sure that you replace anything they sell for you, and come up with a product to be sold. And yeah, you have to design the listing at first. But other than that, you just sit back and collect the check when items are sold. You don't have to pay web hosting fees like I do. You don't have to pay a webmaster. I can't afford a full-time webmaster, so I'm doing it on as a subcontractor or contracting it out. Don't have to do that. But because all of the knives being sold fulfilled by Amazon are on the same warehouse lot in the same shelf, say someone who's unethical sends in a bunch of cheap copies of the Paramilitary 2 in boxes that look reasonably like the Spyderco box. You order one. You think you're ordering it from me or some other reputable dealer. Amazon takes the order. They send their warehouse employee to scamper off to the proper shelf and grab a Spyderco Paramilitary 2. This warehouse worker couldn't care less what he's actually grabbing. All he wants to do is get the products he's been sent for and get them back to the shipping department as fast as possible so he can keep on working and make more money and get a raise. The guy in the shipping department isn't going to look at it and say, whoops, this box doesn't look right. All he cares about is getting it packed up and shipped out. That's all he's getting paid for. That's all he's going to do. So you put in an order for a Paramilitary 2. Amazon ships out a Paramilitary 2. Amazon has no idea they just shipped out a fake because they have no idea that they've got fakes on the shelf sent in by some sleazeball. And you get a fake. And you, not being aware of what's going on, start blaming Amazon or the guy who's selling things fulfilled by Amazon. This is why a lot of knife companies are starting to put into their contracts that their knives may not be sold as third-party sales through websites like eBay and Amazon. I can understand that. And as I say, it's not really Amazon's fault. They're not intentionally selling you fakes, but it's happening. Maybe not often, but enough that it's noticeable. So yeah, buying from Amazon, not the best idea. Buying from eBay, unless the seller has a long history and you really check them out, probably not a good idea either. There are various forums where you can buy and sell knives. Again, most of the people on those forums are great. But there are people who are going to try to take advantage of them, off of them. So again, look for the people that everyone knows and everyone's been buying from. Someone who's been on that forum forever and a day. Buy from him. Not someone who's just been started selling in the past week or two. Unless, of course, you can find a lot of people that can vouch for him. And even then, be suspicious. At least until you've built up a relationship. And then you've got knife and gun shows. And this one, I kind of hate to have to admit it. But you have to be careful. Because, yes, Most dealers at the knife and gun show are going to be like me. I've got a retail license. I've got an EIN number. I've got all the necessary paperwork. I'm at every show. People are getting to know me. And all I've really got going for me is my reputation. If I start selling fakes, my reputation's going to go and I'm not going to be able to do it. But there's plenty of other people there that, and sometimes they don't even know they're selling fakes. All they know is they got a bunch of knives at a really cheap price and they want to unload them. And they have no problems selling it to you. They'll sell you an M-Tech for the price of a K-bar in a heartbeat if you let them. So again, ask around at the show. Find out which ones have the best reputation. Go to their tables. Ask questions. You watch this series long enough, you'll start knowing what to ask and how to ask and what the right answers are. Go to various knife forums. If you can get an invite, All Knives Matter on Facebook is fantastic. You can learn a ton there. There's ones on vintage knives. You hang around forums like that, you're going to learn pretty quick. You're going to learn what to look for and what to listen for. And even now, just use a little common sense and you'll be able to spot most of the people who are trying to scam you. Maybe not all of them, but most of them. And most of all, use some common sense. If the deal sounds too big to be true, I can almost guarantee it is. If everyone else is selling a knife for $80 and this guy is selling it for $50, something's wrong. If he's selling it for $20, it's either so hot it should be scorching the table it's sitting on. He's an idiot who has no idea how much money he's losing. Or he's a scammer trying to take you for every penny he can. Research the knives a little bit. Smartphones are wonderful. Okay, no, I'm not going to be able to sell you a knife for the same price Amazon does. My overhead is way, way higher than Amazon. Amazon owns their own server. I have to pay for server space. Amazon has a whole department of webmasters. I have to subcontract it out. Amazon has a huge warehouse that only costs as much to upkeep each year as my house does. I've got my house and shop. So yeah, I'm not going to be able to sell you the same price as Amazon. But you can still check out prices on DL Trading Company. Check out the prices at Blade HQ. And you can do that while you're sitting right there at my table. And it's going to give you an idea of whether I'm asking a fair price or whether I'm selling it way too cheap. It's just the way it is. But I think I've rambled on way too long, as usual. But hopefully I've given you a bit of information that you can use. Told you what you need to look for, what you need to do to keep yourself safe, and something a little bit more to help you along your way in this new hobby. And of course I've got hiccups now. But I wish you luck. Hopefully I'll see you at a show this year, assuming that we can get on with shows again. And till we see each other again, I'll leave you with a couple videos here that I think you'll enjoy. And of course, you can always hit the target over here to subscribe. You take care. We'll see you again. Bye now.